Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sam. So as you guys probably know, Jeongyeon has told me that she watched my videos before, so this is a special kind of request that she did during a fan sign, but it's kind of complicated, so I'll have my friend Mark explain it for you guys real quick.
안녕하세요. 제 이름은 마키입니다. 팬사 때 정연이가 사진 보정하는 거 전후가 너무 궁금해가지고 이 영상을 만들어봤습니다. 감사합니다. Hey guys, my name is Mark. I also like Twice, and I like to take photos. And I was at one of the fan signs, and Jeongyeon said to us, the fans, to once that she wanted to know how long editing takes, or like she wanted to see befores and afters, and no one really wanted to be like, oh, like it looks bad, but she wanted to see them. So I actually went to two fan signs, and at the next fan sign, I gave her before and afters of some of my photos that I'd taken of her, and Sam just suggested that we can make a video out of it. So I just screen recorded some of how I edit, and we're gonna show you guys in a second. So usually I will start either of one of two ways, cropping or exposure. So here I started with cropping because I felt like the exposure of this scene was pretty good. And then usually I'll start with white balance. Here I felt like it was too green, and I wanted to make Jeongyeon's skin tones look a little bit more natural. So I messed with the white balance and the tint a little bit. And then usually I'll make some micro adjustments with the color balance. Just how I like it. I tend to go a little bit cooler than most people. Next, we have skin tone, where we want skin to be a little bit even. There are other photos that are a little bit more dramatic, but this one, skin tone is pretty even, so I just made some little adjustments to brighten up her face a little bit in comparison to the scene. And then here we have exposure, where I mess with the brightness if I want a little bit higher, lower. Contrast is more about separating dark and light, and then shadows and highlights, which are the dark parts and the light parts. Here I do a little bit of noise reduction because we don't want grain to be in our photos a lot of the time. And then next, I fidget around a little bit with the eyes. If you kind of brighten up just eyes, you can make people's eyes pop out a little bit more. And sometimes I think that has a little bit of an aesthetic, and so that's just what I do. As you can see here, I kind of create a little mask and adjust sort of like where I want to make little edits. And then next you'll see where I kind of add a little bit of brightness and take a little bit of saturation out just so that the whites are a bit more prominent. And I think soon you should see a before and after where I just looked and see that I like it and I think it looks good, so I move on. I forget where I go here. And then at this point, I'm pretty close to where I like it. I just make a little bit more small adjustments here and there. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I like to kind of tweak at the end, see what I like, don't like, and maybe take some things away if I didn't really feel like the end result was what I wanted to look like. And we're pretty close to done at this point. So next, I open my program called Affinity Photo, which is kind of like Photoshop, where I add my watermark and do a little bit more adjustments that I may like. And so you'll see me just pick up a version of my watermark that I copy paste into all my files. So here I just readjust size, put it where I want, and then do I like it or not? Yes, that's good. Here I create another layer because I'm about to make some adjustments to skin, and this program allows me to do kind of separate high frequency and low frequency parts of an image and apply kind of these filters to make skin specifically smoother. So here I am getting a mask and then kind of adjusting parts that I want. So first I start out with the hand. Notice that I don't really like it because it becomes a little bit too fake. So I skip that and I go straight to the face, where usually you'll see a bit of graininess if you kind of leave it as it is, but if you smoothen out, it makes skin look a bit more kind of smooth, less rough, and even in some ways like a bit more real to kind of what you see in flashes and portrait lighting. So here it's really just me filling out where I feel like it's appropriate to add a bit of skin smoothness, and then just finishing my mask. I kind of like to kind of see the image as a in whole and then maybe add some small little adjustments like taking out hair strands or blemishes that I feel like kind of don't add to the picture. Here I messed up a little bit because I should have done this first, but I ended up doing it towards the end, which is why you'll see me kind of do a little bit of extra steps of zooming back in, adding another part of the face, or like picking another layer. So normally you would do this first rather than last because you have several different layers that you're going to be touching. But I just decided to go with it since I was already at this point. So I took a little bit of hair strands that were on Jeongyeon's face away, and then I also take some stray hairs that are sticking out from the sides in the background. There you just see me change the slider to adjust what my brush size will be, and then I just start moving along there. So this tool kind of uses the surrounding area to see what it is that needs to be cut, and I just kind of move my brush along, see where I want to take or add any elements, and just brush away. So here I look for a couple places where I might find something that I feel like is sticking out a little bit, and just brush and take out any of those spots. At this point, it's just a lot more tedious work, just trying to find little small things that I like to edit. And sometimes you'll see me do or undo things that I feel like don't look good, or I just didn't do properly. And I might go back and see, oh, like I need to add more smoothness here as I look again. Yeah, just being able to kind of check and make sure that I kind of like what it is before finishing up the picture and exporting it. So for context, this photo was taken at the Feel Special Showcase that Twice had for their comeback. It kind of depends, depending on whether or not it's a fan sign or a concert. Usually concerts will be about 3,000 to 5,000 photos, depending on how long it is or if it's just Twice. Fan signs, I personally tend to shoot about 15 to 17,000 photos. So this photo specifically, I'd say is maybe above average for me. Depending on how close it is, if it's a photo that has a lot of background, then I usually don't do the second step where I do skin smoothing. But if it is kind of, usually like fan signs, concerts need a bit of skin smoothing just because it looks a little bit nicer. But 6.5 minutes is pretty average, I'd say, for just heavier edits. And then maybe about 3 minutes for short ones. I'd say about 1 in 4 photos I keep, just by sheer volume, or even just random moments like motion blur or a member is blinking. A lot of those I throw away, which tend to happen a lot because you're just shooting so many photos at once. But I keep about 25, edit most of that 25%, and release, depending on how much time I have, about maybe 50% of that 25%. So for something like a fan sign, it might take about 2 to 3 hours a day for a week, just because picking photos takes a couple hours, since you have to go through so many, and then editing them can take like an hour or 2 at a time for about batches of a couple hundred. It kind of depends on how many filters I can keep across the same frame, because lighting obviously changes between 2 separate photos. It's definitely hard. It's a lot of time. Sometimes I feel a little bit of pressure to release photos really quickly, like within a couple hours after an event. But it's also really joyful at the same time, because you kind of recount the event and remember, oh, like this happened at the fan sign, or oh, I captured this really cute moment during the concert. But yeah, it's hard, but it's also very joyful.
All right, thanks, Mark. So if you guys want to follow Mark on his Twitter with all the Fansite photos, check out the description below and in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
삐.
혹시 정연이한테 할 말이 있어요?
정연아, 이 영상 보고 있으면 시카고 오빠 기억나지?